I Want to Jump Like Dee Dee, with me, Giles Sibbald, is the music podcast that does music a bit differently. I'm talking to some incredible musicians, DJs and producers about how they use an experimental mindset to fuel their own creativity, pursue new challenges, overcome fears, bounce back from mistakes. I'm dedicating this episode to the memory of Matt Evans, who died at the age of 47 in September 21. Matt really did change people's lives, particularly through music, giving many at the time unknown artists, Arctic Monkeys being one of them when he was a promoter in Sheffield, gave them their opportunity and a platform to be noticed. He went on to become the founder of Cloud Spotting Festival and programme manager and public face of the Grand venue in Clitheroe, Lancashire. And Matt's first gig was The Fall at Clitheroe Castle in 1985, aged 11, with his brother Mike, he was actually my best mate at school. And it meant so much to Matt to bring The Fall back to the Grand in 2013, and then to put on a show in 2019 for my wonderful guest today. So long, Matt. Hope you're doing okay. So you can probably gather that today's episode is a pretty special one. My guest's life story is as inspirational as it is turbulent. It's inspirational because of that turbulence, perhaps, and how she's navigated it all, from growing up in LA and starting her first college band, Banda Dratsing, to moving to Chicago and joining The Fall in 83, appearing on TV, starting a fashion business with her husband Philip. After many years of being out of love with music, she got back into it with the Extricated and released 3 terrific albums. She supported the mighty Killing Joke last year with a bunch of new incredible musicians to a fabulous reception. I'm still going to miss that, I'm really trying to get over it, but I just can't. From the outside, it seems to me that she sort of shifted herself, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes out of desire, sometimes out of instinct, taking risks and experimenting in new directions. And as we record this, she's a week away from releasing her first solo album, Valley of the Dolls, which I think it's fair to say is a pretty exciting prospect. So, Brix Smith, welcome. It is so good to have you here. Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, God, thanks for asking me, Giles.
Not at all. So, the new album, you were a week away. How are you feeling at the moment?
I'm feeling really excited that it's coming out at last. It's been actually finished for a while, but because of all of the weird universal backlogs of stuff, it just got pushed back because so many people couldn't release their albums during lockdown because they couldn't tour them, so they held back. And then as soon as lockdown was over, there was a deluge of material. And then so many people got creative during that period, me being one of them. So then there was a whole nother thing. So it was like the river is full of flotsam and jetsam and everything is coming down all at once and the dams are busting. And there was a backlog where you couldn't get your record actually pressed for 6 months, cut and pressed. The vinyl factories were like up to here.
Just up to there.
You're bribing them to get it on there. And then there was a cardboard problem from Brexit. So I was like, you know what? I'm so happy with this album. I am thrilled to bits with it. And whenever it comes out, and it will be the right time. The universe will see to that. So I'm chill. I'm happy and chill.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
So there is something in that there's a load of stuff that's just outside of our control. And we've I've done this in the past. There's things that I know I can't control, but you end up worrying about them, and you just think, do you know what? It's pointless. Let's just chill out, and just what will happen will happen.
Yeah, you can't really control it. I had to learn that throughout my whole career. There were so many times where I thought, oh, this is it. This is the one that's going to cut through to everybody, and it's going to wake everyone up, and you're like, yes, and then no, but still it just starts, it adds up, and everything is learning, and it's seriously, when they say the most important thing is the journey. Well, that's the most important thing, because I don't ever think there is an end. I don't ever think it'll ever be good enough, or well, actually this album's good enough for me right now in this moment, but I don't actually think that there is a finality. You're just constantly learning
Yeah.
the whole way and amassing information and experiences and getting scarred, and
Yeah.
coming out
Yeah.
the other side. So yeah, it's all
You're
good.
right. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I think that this world we get sort of so kind of focused on production and the kind of there's a kind of end game, which is there's a kind of output, and that's to the expense of like you say, of the experience of doing it, which is all the fun. I mean, sure, it's great to bring something out, but the whole kind of journey of being on it is so great.
And Giles, you can't control anything except
No,
yourself. So you have no
absolutely.
idea. You can't control anything except your own thoughts and feelings. And
Yeah.
that is all you ever have.
Yeah.
So you can't worry about what other people are going to think. At the end of the day, it's got to feel so good inside of you
Yeah.
that you're just satisfied and happy. And to me, that's what success is. When you come out of doing an artistic project and you have goosebumps and you're like, yeah, I'm so happy with that. I love that. Whatever happens, happens, but I feel great. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you sort of touched on it. A different way of working. Which a lot of people have had to do over the past kind of I suppose 3 years now. And this process for this album was a change for you as well. We're obviously sort of working with youth, quite a lot as well, but also a solo record.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that so sorry. I might need to turn this video around to show you what's going on because it
Yeah, sure.
in the reality of my world, um I'm in bed and this is my
Brilliant.
dog. Yeah, and
Ah,
I'm in bed. This is actually my bedroom with my guitars, and over there's a microphone where I do my recording and did all the vocals for the
wonderful.
album there. Yes, Gladys, she's old and deaf. Gladys, oh hi. So
Hey,
yeah. So we put that back. So I put
brilliant, brilliant.
the screen on a bunch of pillows so it would have a good angle. And then Gladys got on the pillows and knocked it off. So if you see all this movement happening, it's
What were we just saying? There's always something that you can't control.
yeah. So I'm now like letting you into my world. So I talk. This is the bed in which I wrote my entire book. I sat in the bed like Barbara
Wow.
Cartland. Okay,
Mm.
what were we talking about?
We
I
we were
forgot
talking
already.
about sort of different ways of working. I want to come back to the book
Okay,
because
okay.
I reread it with my own different lens in it. But we were talking about different ways of working, and obviously that this being your first solo record, kind of working over lockdown with youth who was in Spain,
Yeah.
you were in London, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's really crazy, isn't it? When you think about it.
Well, so here's the big thing is that right before lockdown, I did the last show I did with the Extricated, and
Mm.
Nadine Shaw was
Mm.
there. She's my friend. She's this great singer. She
Yeah.
came up to me and she said, "Brix, this isn't good enough." She's like, "You should be doing so much more than this. This is just not working. You need a decent team behind you. You need a manager, an agent, a this, or that, whatever."
Mm.
So
Mm.
I was like, and it just wasn't. It was coming to its natural end. The Extricated
Yeah.
anyway. I could feel it. It wasn't
Mm.
any. There was no controversy or bad
Mm.
blood or anything. It was just, it had reached
Just
its
time.
like, yeah, and loads of them were like new dads and had young kids, and it was tough. And also,
Yeah.
we really had to graft. It wasn't easy. Like I had to fund the whole thing and
Mm.
whatever. It was a learning curve, but it was great. Anyway, she said this to me. I remember it was backstage at the 100 Club, and I started crying
Mm.
because I knew she was right. And it was a big moment for me to
Mm.
stand up and whatever, put on my big girl pants and be like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna have to put my head above the parapet now on my own.
Yeah.
So she introduced me to her manager, who's called Roz Earls, who also looks after youth production.
Yeah.
And I went for a meeting with Roz, and she said, the first thing you are is a songwriter. Let's put you with another writer and just see what happens, you know. And I was thinking at this point, not that I would make an album for myself, but that I would write for other people. I was thinking maybe that was my transition, my new transition in life was to do that now and take the pressure off me. So um, she said, she goes, I think you'd be great with youth. And I'm like, I know who youth is, duh, but I've never met him. And I don't know if he knows who I am. So I said, I'd love to work with that guy, but can you just reach out to him and see if, just say my name to him. And if he knows who I am and he responds well, then yes. And if he doesn't, we'll move on. So she called him up and he said, oh, she's a fucking legend or something like that. And I was like, yes. And then we made a plan to just meet. We never actually physically met. Like we had a Killing Joke in the fall. I'm sure we must have done the same bills at some place, but we never met. So we're supposed to meet in April. This was February. And then you know what happened. And he was stuck in Spain and I was here. So we met on FaceTime. And we had a discussion about my influences, you know, and he said, why don't I send you some backing tracks and then you record some lyrics and send them back and let's see what happens, and some melodies and stuff. And so I said, okay. And I had to teach myself that. It's kind of embarrassing, but I didn't really know how to record anything by myself because I'd always been a bit of a princess, and you know, had like gone into a studio and had like people to
just others
work
to do
the knobs, whatever. So but I was like, okay, it's time to learn. So I taught myself and found that I could do it. So I recorded stuff, sent it back to youth, and from the very first song which we wrote, which was called Aphrodite, it was apparent there was some real chemistry between us, some serious chemistry, the likes of which I hadn't really felt since Mark Smith, like very special, amazing chemistry. So he felt it too, I felt it too. We kept going. The music flowed out. I would write a song. He would send me a song, and as fast as I could get it down, write all the parts, all the harmony parts, everything, send it back in a week. We just kept going until we could finally meet up. And that's how Valley of the Dolls came to be.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't
it? Yeah, it was for me because I never ever had an experience, a recording experience and a writing experience like that, because it was so focused, because there was nothing else I could do. It actually saved me from going into mental fucking breakdown over lockdown. Over which time my dad and my brother died. Like everyone has a lockdown tragedy, but I was really struggling, and I was struggling with like OCD with the virus. You know, I was one of those people that would wipe their groceries and, you know, anyway, this was a really healthy option of focusing all of that stuff and everything else and actually bypassing that shit and putting it into art. So it saved me, and magic came. So yay.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, there's a real, I mean, almost, you know, kind of serendipity and the sort of the ability for other people to almost see, you know, okay, well, these two people are really kind of suited to sort of working with each other. How did you feel in terms of the whole kind of process and doing things differently, sort of out? How did you feel out of your comfort zone?
No, not at all. In fact, the opposite. What it did was confirm to me that I was really fucking good at what I do.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So what it did was, it was pure validation, because not only could I take the time to get exactly the vocal I wanted, to layer the harmony, to try a different thing without any pressure, without any record label, without any people in the studio going, you know, okay, that's another 600 pounds. That's another 600 pounds. So I took my time, and I, for the first time, really had no pressure, no agenda. No one knew. It was between me and youth and whoever that, you know, no one heard anything. And then I was like, oh, this is good. And then, I would play it to my husband, like all the raw stuff. Like every night I'd be so excited. He'd
Yeah.
go, listen to this, and, and of course it's weird when you're writing because I can hear all the bits in my head or most of the bits that I want that aren't there yet, but I know like where it's going to go. But he couldn't. But what he could hear was the skeleton of what
Mm,
was there, and everything has to start. For me as a songwriter, has to start from the skeleton. The
mm,
fucking bones have got to be great of a song. It's all
yeah.
great to make soundscapes and this and that and beats and all this, but for me as a songwriter, it's the craft and the bones of the song.
Mentioned that I reread your book to
Yeah.
and I read it with a very different lens this time because since I first read it, which was kind of like around the 2016 2017 time, I've become really sort of interested in obviously this podcast is about mindset and how important it is and how we're living vastly different lives and rereading it with that lens was a I mean it was a revelation for me. I mean it really was. I mean I saw so many things that I probably missed or probably weren't at the top of my mind this time. So and it was around and you touched on it. There was one. I mean, there are lots of kind of things that you wrote that really sort of touched me, but there was one in your early days at Bennington when
Yeah.
you said that it was a place to let your freak flag fly and
Yeah.
creativity was your currency, and how
Yeah.
talented you were was amounted to basically your kind of social capital,
Yeah.
individuality, all those sort of things. And I think now the way that lives are changing, those sort of things are kind of things that the establishment, let's call it, has kind of devalued. But just by what you've said about your recording process with this, they're just hugely important. It's like coming full circle again almost.
Yeah, I mean that it's true. It's just it what makes us special is all our quirks and
Mm,
insecurities and personal vulnerabilities and just the little there's so much of us as human beings that are the same. We're all the same in terms of
yeah.
like with like core fears. Everybody has that fear. I'm not good enough, I'm not rich
Mm,
enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. And
mm,
everyone's got that base of crap, right?
yeah.
But it's the other things on top of that that you need to amplify that make you special. And at Bennington, it was such a wonderful hothouse because
Mm,
we were all different types of flowers, and
yeah.
under the hothouse of that creativity, which breeds creativity, like the more you're around the energy, that light, that creative inspiration, the
Mm.
more it infects you and the you just become part of it. It's like a manifestation. And it was literally like a hothouse. We were all like Venus flytraps, like, you know, and you were,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you know? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
it's okay.
you just sparked something. And last year, I went to last October, yeah, to Space Mountain,
Yeah.
for Youth Festival. And when I was a kid, up until the age of 16, when I basically said, "Fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore." I played the cello. That was and I was I was really good at it. I got up to like grade 8. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. But going to Space Mountain and seeing so many people with their creativity, there was a guy, Phil, who picked up a sax and he learnt it through lockdown and all that kind of stuff. I went out and bought one again and started playing it again.
Oh my God.
It's amazing, but
Well,
that sort of inspiration and that environment, you're totally right. Just it's inspirational.
yeah, and you can feel it like when you're around people. Like I'm a team player. I'm a collaborator. So
Mm,
I really love to work with people and bounce off their energy and their creativity and throw mine at them. And I just love that whole, trade
yeah.
off. And I get their juice and they take my juice and, like that. The cello, by the way, is a fabulous instrument because
Mm,
it is I mean, all music, and as you know, all music, all color, all sound, all everything is vibration. But when you're sitting there with a cello, that's why I love bass particularly as well, because
Yeah.
to me the bass is the glue of a band. You know, it's the perfect thing between like you know, the rhythm and the melody. It's the
Yeah.
glue that glues it all together. So, but cello is the same, and you're sitting there with it between your legs, and the vibration is going up through you, and it's just even listening to it, you can feel it. But when it's touching your body, it's the same as singing. I mean, you feel the vibration, whatever. So, what a great
Yeah.
instrument! I mean, you must feel so good after playing it, even just drones on it. You know?
Yeah. Do you know? It's really weird because I hadn't touched it for well over 30 years, well over probably 35 years maybe. And I think there was you know, it's funny, these sort of formative influences. So I think that I felt when I was a kid that my dad had kind of, let's say, encouraged me a little bit too much. He'd push me, and I didn't
Yeah,
want to do it, and I started to rebel against it. So
yeah.
there was something in it because my dad died last year, and I think
Oh,
that
I'm
there's
sorry.
yeah, but I think that there was something in it. It was a little bit of unfinished business, and it was weird how it sort of comes back into your brain, and but the feeling when I picked it up was just, I was like, oh my, all these memories came flooding back. I was just like, wow, and I was really kind of intrigued as to how I'd be able to, could I still do it?
Oh, and
Yeah, I could. I mean, it was rusty as hell, but I could still do it. It was still there, you know, and it didn't take long for it to really start coming back. You know,
yeah,
so that once you learn something, that it's still there. I mean, you didn't pick up the guitar for many years, 15 years.
15. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't. I sang only to my dogs
Yeah.
in private. Like I sing to my animal. I sing to my dogs every day. Like,
Mm.
like my dog is so old. She's 15. She likes it when I sing to her and I give her her
Oh.
food. So there's like a pet munchie song, and she just makes me sing it every morning before she'll even touch the food. And then they really helped me when I picked up the guitar again after 15 years. After 50, basically I had a real breakdown after I left the fall the second time, and
Mm.
I had done that album with Marty Wilson Piper called Los Angeles, and
Yeah.
it nobody signed it, and actually I don't think anyone ever bothered to even listen to it because I was like, I don't know, in my 30s, and it was like the 90s, and I was kind of kicked to the curb, and you know, they
Mm.
were like, who cares, the woman from the fall, whatever, I'm not going to listen to it. So nobody, no record company, no. And it was a strange time in the music business before the whole thing broke, you know. And
Yeah.
it anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, so when I came so when I would practice, when I started writing the book, basically Andy Weatherall, three people came to me, and at one point within a series of weeks. So one was my husband, one was Andrew Weatherall, and the other was Craig Leon, the producer.
Yeah.
And they all said, out of the blue and separately from each other, you should really be right. You should really pick up the guitar again. You should really be writing again. It's criminal that you're not doing what you're so good at, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had been saying I'm never going back into music because my heart had been broken from that record that
Mm.
nobody signed, which I put, that should have been the first solo record, but it wasn't. And I just couldn't get arrested. It only came out last year,
Mm.
finally. And it was only because my new manager was like, what is this? And I said, oh, yeah. And he goes, oh my God, it's fantastic. Get it out, get it out. So anyway, I kind of forgot where I was going, but oh, the dogs. So what
Dogs.
I would do is, without telling anybody, so and Andrew Weatherall, Craig, and my husband Philip all said this to me, and I thought this is a sign I should pick up the guitar again. And actually, writing the book opened the channel for that was blocked
Mm.
because writing in a different way with words, lacing them together, somehow unclogged the music channel. And I
Yeah.
thought, and writing about being in the fall and what I'd done before the fall and the band, it made me almost nostalgic for it. I, instead of hating it and feeling kicked in the gut by it. I was like, no, wait a minute. Let's look at it in a different way. Look what you've done. Look what you've accomplished as a woman, as a very young girl,
Mm,
being in this iconic band and writing these songs that are now classics.
absolutely.
Get a grip, woman. Stand up. So I was like, okay. And I took out my Rickenbacker from the closet. 15 years of dust on it. It was white and now it was yellow. And I remembered how to tune it just. And I sat down in the bedroom, and my two dogs um, gathered round, and I would just sing and play to them every day, like therapy. And they would just sit there with their heads going like, "Oh my god!" Like
Wow.
it was like the siren song. It was amazing. And one day, my husband came home from work, and I go, "I have something to show you." And he was like, "What is it?" And I took out the guitar, and I sang the first song I'd written after 15 years, and he started crying, and that was my road to
Wow.
recovery. So I was rusty as hell too, and I hadn't touched it, and the tips of my fingers, which are like hard and ugly like man hands from playing, were like soft like silken pillows. And so I just practiced and came back.
That's incredible, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
interesting that, the writing as well. You talked about sort of unblocking. I mean, my partner, my wife now, she does she journals, and it kind of
Yeah.
like it sort of helps with that, just to kind of unblock things, whatever you're sort of feeling, writing it down. It's almost like a kind of catharsis in a
It's
way.
purging. It's purging.
Mm.
It's amazing. Like there is I read this book called oh gosh, what was it called? It's called The Mind and Body Prescription.
Right.
And it's about people that have like chronic neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, and that basically most of these pains are blocked emotional stuff that's connected to your mind. And
Mm.
it's called Dr. John Sarno wrote it. It's unbelievable. So I used to suffer with all this stuff, and then I had this back pain, and somebody said read this book, and I read the book, and I started doing, because he offers therapy, but there's also these steps at the end of the book to,
Mm.
to practice to get. And one of the steps is serious journaling, where for like I don't know how many minutes a day you sit down and literally you write every bad thought you ever thought
Yeah.
or felt, every terrible thing that's gone through your mind. Like I've thought some very negative things in my time, and I
Yeah.
admitted it that I just got it all out, and then very slowly the pain went away. It was quite amazing. And it teaches you to say like, oh, my back hurts. What am I worried
Mm.
about? What is there a problem? And you can identify it then.
I did
Just
I did some stream of consciousness writing, probably about a couple of years ago, and that was I was like, oh my god, and I sort of read it back. I was like, oh my god, there's
was
so
it
much
did,
stuff
what
there to pick.
was it there? Could you pull stuff from it?
Yeah, definitely,
I mean,
definitely.
I speak and write in stream of consciousness all the I channel. I don't know how I write. I'm a receiver. It's not even me. It's coming from them. You know,
Wow,
always. It always has. Yeah,
that's the way that you tend to write?
always.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
I'm just a receiver.
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's
The
kind
book
of
was
sorry, go on.
yeah, the book was channeled. So the book is coming from multi levels. So
Yeah,
basically, the sections in which so it's books in three sections: the rise, the fall, the rise. And in between each section is a conjoining chapter that's written in
yep,
italics.
yep.
That is fully channeled without editing.
Channeled.
So that is from spirit, okay, coming
Right.
through
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And what will happen when you read that book, because it's coming from multi levels, is people will get what they need from it each time they read it. So when you said you went back and read it again and you got completely something else, it's because you've reached another stage of whatever enlightenment or realization or whatever it is
Yeah.
in your life, where you're able to absorb more of what it's saying on a different level. So
Yeah.
I haven't ever said that before, but that's the truth.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, I definitely feel that over that my, um, let's call it, identity, I suppose, has been changing. Or let's say I've been more aware of my identity changing over the past 7 or 8 years, I'd say. But I've definitely been more kind of like in tune with it. And I think that that kind of feels right. That I would sort of recognize that and sort of realize. I remember there was a really interesting quote from Nelson Mandela when he said that I'm kind of paraphrasing, but it was basically like you only have to go back to a place that hasn't changed to see how you've changed. I was like, when I
That's
read that, I was
brilliant.
like,
It's like when you
wow,
go back to your old kindergarten class and you're like, "Oh
absolutely.
my god, the chairs are so small." It's like that.
Absolutely, yeah. It was always like that. When I used to go back to, I was born in Lancashire, and my mum and dad lived there all their lives in a town called Chorley, and when I used to go back there, particularly in the later years, and that place didn't change. Their house hadn't changed since I was a kid. It really hadn't, and it was weird sort of going back because you would get these emotions of kind of like returning, and you would certainly feel I would certainly feel that okay, I've definitely changed. Weird.
Do you think you've become much more empathetic?
Yes, yes. It's interesting because like when I mean the values that particularly my dad um, gave me, um, I've carried through, and I don't think that they've really changed. But when you talk about like empathy, yeah, like that whole thing around emotional intelligence is something I've become certainly more aware of. I was
Aware,
I
like
was always
aware.
I was no go on.
No, I'm saying in terms of like, do you feel that you're more aware of where other people are at when you're in their presence, understanding that they are having challenges instead of taking their instead of taking their actions personally, no matter what it is, understanding that they're coming from a place
Yeah.
of challenge instead of being, feeling attacked. Not attacked is too strong a word, but like, understanding that it's not actually about you. Like understanding, I've become like so aware of how other people are feeling, and
Mm.
just it's weird. I wondered if you were feeling the same
Yeah,
thing.
no, I think no, definitely yes, yes, you're right. Yeah, and I understand now. Yes, I have, and I struggled with when you work on something and it's your project, it's your baby. You've
Yeah.
worked on it. You have a vision of where it should be, what it should look like, and then you do the right thing. You ask people for their opinions, or people give their opinions, and it's really hard to not take those personally when it starts to when things start to kind of like that baby starts to become something different. And I've definitely started to not take things as personally, and to be aware that when people are saying things that it's not about me. And I think that's because I was coming from a place of where I lack self belief and kind of confidence in myself.
Everything goes through a person's own filter. So when
Mm,
they're when so even when for instance, if I ever like read a review of something that wasn't kind or
mm,
actually wasn't on the money of what it was, I would be like, whoa, that person's having a hard time in their life,
mm,
or
mm.
this is their problem because this is not what I meant, so it's coming through their filter, and
Yeah,
that's fine. Well, I can't control that again.
yeah.
I just have to accept it. It's like, oh, and then instead of or if something like something seems like it's bad, like let me just try and find a good example. I don't know. I can't really find a good example, but I'm going to try and think. It's You know, like if something seems like you expect something to happen or you expect someone to do something and it doesn't happen or they don't do it,
Mm.
and then you feel bad, and then you realize, however months later or weeks or days later, oh my God, that was never supposed to happen. And I dodged a bullet, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting. Where instead of going like, that didn't happen, that person didn't, I'm thinking actually of an actual person who I wrote to and asked
Mm.
her to join me for this cause, you
Yeah.
know? And she was like, I'm not into it. It was like she wrote back in all caps, which is angry. It's a famous photographer actually, and it wasn't about me, but it was just some a kind of a really interesting creative thing that
Yeah.
that was being proposed that I thought she would be amazing to be a part of as a creative thing, and she wrote back, and then I realized, oh, she's not yet ready or evolved for that kind of a project.
Yeah.
She's still thinking in this way. And actually, it's better not to have her on the project. It's better to have people that are like minded and all on the same page with this because it's
Totally.
kind of for the planet. You know, it's a project.
Big project.
So, and if she's not into it or she's feeling like that, it's like, thank you for not
Yeah.
being nice so that we can move on to the right person. So you have to be like, understand that some things happen. Things happen for a reason. Just accept it. That's all.
I think you're totally right. I mean, yes, I mean, I've definitely, with that sort of thing, and um, started to, kind of dig, beneath the words. Say, okay,
Yeah.
what's driving that? Is it me? What have I done? But then it's okay.
Because
Well,
you,
there's something
pe-
else. There's something else.
yeah, because the thing is that people are generally, by and large, truly judgmental, you
Mm,
know, and it does not feel good to be judged, okay? And
yeah.
I try with all my might not to judge people.
Mm,
And I try and take the empathetic route now, the
mm.
intuitive empathy route, going like, where are they at? That's not about you. And you know what? By doing that, it's freed me from huge amounts of insecurity.
Has
So
that, has
if
that, has that,
anyone takes that away from this conversation, yay.
I mean, I think that's brilliant. That it's a great example. To be able to do that. Has that taken you a long time to get there?
60 years.
And still learning.
Yeah.
It is. It's like a continuous process, isn't it? It's continual.
Yeah. And once you get there, I mean, sometimes you do slip back. You know, we all have
Mm,
like insecurities. We're all human. I mean, we're in this body and the body is wired to be like that.
yeah.
Um, I think when you die, you're just pure energy because inside we're non-physical energy in a physical body, and I think when
Mm,
our vessel dies, our non-physical energy just goes up and out and becomes part of one mind. And I believe that they look down on us or they look expansively over us and they see that it's all such bullshit. Life is just a game and none of it actually matters, you know, and I just think it's bliss. Well, from what I hear, it's bliss, you know. Yeah.
have you? I mean, it sounds like your uh, maybe like priorities of life have changed.
Definitely. I mean, they've focused.
Mm,
So I realize, one, I am truly happy when I'm being creative,
mm,
really creative, no matter what it is, no matter what I'm turning it to, whether it's music, whether it's TV, whether it's writing, whether it's like working on this project I'm working now with a new app called We Are Eight, which is going to basically change social media for the better, give back to the planet, give back to the people, turn Facebook on its fucking head, and
brilliant.
also give money back into the creative community, which is where
Yeah.
I'm working, where I'm involved with this. So
Mm,
that's giving me huge pleasure. So I'm focused on stuff basically I'm only doing what I love doing,
Mm.
and what's giving me pleasure creatively and spiritually, and being around people that I love their energy and that are on the same page, and I'm not too dynamically challenging. You
Mm.
know, I just can't go through ego shitty
The
bullshit
bullshit.
anymore.
Yeah.
I just I don't have any capacity for it.
Yeah.
Literally, it's like I can feel the energy coming off people that aren't there yet, and it's fine. They can take their time getting there, but I don't want to be around it. I'm moving fast. I'm fast and rising, like vibrating high. And it's like, you know what, life is short, and as you get older it gets shorter, and everyone around me is
Mm.
dying. So,
Mm.
which is okay. It's part of life,
Mm.
dealing with it, but it's still a shock when you're in your body. And it becomes very clear the longer you go on what is important to you and your time here to do and
Yeah.
who you want to surround yourself with, you know?
That's a really good point. Really good point. I completely agree with you. I've done similar things, you know, to try and I read I followed this lady called Marina Gorbis, and she's with this sort of think tank called the Institute of the Future, and I read that she'd done some brilliant stuff, you know, but she said, and it sounds funny, but it's not. And she said one of the kind of main skills that you need these days is called critical ignoring. Now, it kind of sounds weird, but when you think about it, there is so much, you know, these days, that information that's coming into you compared to even 10 years ago, that the ability to channel somewhere else all the bullshit and leave yourself with, you know, the good relationships, you know, the kind of the good vibrations around you. It's just, I mean, you kind of need that.
So here's the thing. This I'm going to give you a really good tip here. To be creative for me, I cannot be in fear. I cannot live in fear. Fear
Mm.
blocks it. Fear, guilt, bad depression, any of those you know, low vibrational thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And like if I watch the news, right? I feel that I'm being bombarded by so much pain and negativity and manipulation, actually,
Mm.
um of stuff that I can't I can't do anything about it. All I can do is give money, and I can't
Mm.
do anything about it. I mean,
Mm.
so I can't let that stuff get into me too much. I just have to put out as much good to counteract the bad as
Yeah.
possible, as I can do as a human, and just rise above it. I don't want that news in me. I know
Mm.
what's going on, right? I know to some extent. I'm not an ignoramus, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I cannot sit there and have it bombarded into me, because
Yeah.
so much of it is manipulative, fear-based government bullshit, and it's
Yeah.
like, guess what? I don't want to do.
Totally.
So that kind of, and also the bombardment on like Facebook, over for me. Whereas something like We Are Eight is all about the creativity and all about the positivity. It's a place of zero hate tolerance, and it's a place for creative people to come, not users,
Mm.
but creators, you know, not influencers, but citizens. And together, everybody doing a little bit can actually bring money to the planet and to people that need it. So that kind of thing is super positive, and that's where I'm gonna keep my psyche.
Can you tell us any more about We Are Eight, or is it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So We Are Eight is a new social media app. It's started by a founder. The founder CEO is a woman called Sue Fennessy, who's Australian. She's a
Mm.
serial tech entrepreneur. She's the real fucking deal,
Mm.
right? So this is her fourth company. before this, she set up, the last company was called Standard Media Index, which basically revolutionized the advertising industry, making it transparent for all their spends, and it became the model that everyone used. Anyway, she created this new technology for this app, and basically what happens is the app is only just launching. It's up there and you can get on it. It's soft launch, so go and sign up, be my friend, whatever. There's a lot of really amazing people involved in it. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say or not say about who that is, so I'm going to stay away from that, but it's literally amazing. And what she has done is created a new advertising model, because she realized social media was broken. All the kids are like suicidal. Everybody is just devastated by it. And Facebook is making $120 billion a year. And none of that money is going back to the planet or back to the people. So she's created a whole new model, turned it on its head, reimagined it. And on We Are 8, there are advertisements, but you choose if you want to watch them. And if you want to watch them, you push the button, you engage with it. For 15 seconds, you watch an advert, which is from a B corporation. So it's like BMW makes electric. BMW is one of the advertisers. There's many, many. I mean, you just name it, they're already on there. But the good companies, so they make electric cars so that the birds don't get scared in the forest. So you can go to the forest with your electric car and not. Do you know what I mean? And you engage and you learn about the company, and then you get paid for watching it. So there's a wallet on the app that you have, and you collect micro amounts of money, which every ad you watch, immediately some money goes to the charity that BMW chooses, but then you amass money in your wallet, and you can use it to pay it forward to any charity you want. You can use it to pay your PayPal if you need to pay a bill. You can use it to pay your EE phone bill. You can use it to pay Discovery Plus TV. You can save it, or you can donate it, or whatever you want. So the money, so We Are 8 takes 40% of the advertising money, and then the rest is split between also the creator fund. So you get paid, and you do with it what you want. Save the planet if you need it, this or that, and also some of it goes to the creator fund, of which I'm one of the curators for England. So it's a big job looking for artists that need money to make their art, whether they're filmmakers or dancers or gardeners or musicians or or teachers that are creators, anyone. So there will be a fund there that we can tap from. You need £1,000, go to it, make your art and put it on with us. So I'm so excited.
That's brilliant. That's a great idea, and I mean, it's great that you're involved in that and found that. I'll definitely take a look at that.
Take a look at it. I mean, there's still like a few kinks being worked out now, but it's really going to be up and running and going big soon. And she's just a fantastic woman, inspiration. She's like the real deal. I mean, like Steve Jobs' real deal. She's major, 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 and it's inspirational to be working with a woman like that.
I mean, it's so sad, isn't it, that sort of companies like Amazon, like Facebook, with the tech that really revolutionized the way that we live, but the ultimate model behind it, it was just so like traditional. It's still the money just flows in one direction, and that's
greed.
That's it. It's awful.
Look, we have to change the planet. That's the biggest thing right now. We have to become really, really aware, and we have very little time to turn this fucker around. And it's that's like the number one priority, because no music on a dead planet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's about living in the now and doing it, which I think a lot of people kind of struggle with, don't they? And they struggle to, but also that by the same token, they sort of struggle with, looking 10, 15 years ahead, because it's this, there's a behavioral bias, I think, that we struggle to sort of see beyond a certain horizon, and you can't. That's why people don't kind of get invested in sort of climate change. So, certainly from the systems point of view, from the government point of view, it's so short term. There's just this mismatch.
I mean, I just think it's really important that we that we really start pulling together now, because
Mm, mm,
with the amount of people, like-minded people, we can change anything in small ways if we all come together. I mean, I can't tell you what the statistics are on We Are Eight, but
mm,
basically, you can raise X amount of millions a month that goes to clean water, that does this, that does that. And it's
mm.
like, because if everyone just, not everyone, just a million people come together on it, which is totally doable. It's already up to a million people. You can actually make a difference, and it feels good. It
Yeah,
feels
yeah,
like you're doing something positive instead of just looking at yourself. It's like, oh, how much plastic surgery has she had, or does she have butt implants? It's like, I don't want that.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah,
Um, one thing. Another thing I'm interested in is in when as we sort of get older, I think for a lot of people, I've sort of felt this as well. That a lot of people, I think that the default is to sort of play it a bit safer, take less risk. Sort of
yeah.
in your life. What's your relationship been with taking risks, and how's that? How do you think that's sort of changed over the years?
Um, so I basically, I just do whatever feels right to me.
Mm,
So I I I jump and the net appears.
mm, mm,
Um I so I absolutely love challenging myself in all different ways. So I love challenging myself artistically to do different things that I haven't done before. I've got something
yeah,
cooking at the moment I've never done.
brilliant.
And I love that because it's just different facets of how to express your creativity. And
Yeah,
I'm not worried about being judged anymore. I don't give, I have no fucks left to give, basically. So I'm like, I can enjoy it because I'm like, I hope people like it, but I can't control it. So I just have to like it. If it doesn't feel good, I'm not going to do it. But I have changed physically. So I'm a much more of a baby in terms of my physicality. So, for instance, in 2 weeks, I haven't been away since before lockdown. But my husband, we got invited to go skiing in France, and
mm,
I didn't know my album was going to come out that week. Right? Had I known, I wouldn't have gone. So, but I'm going, but I'm refusing to ski because I don't want to live in fear, but I actually feel uncomfortable in ski boots. They hurt my feet.
mm,
It's very cold.
mm,
I don't want to bang my head like Michael Schumacher. And I do not want to hurt my arm or my shoulder
yeah,
because I've got a tour to do and festivals and stuff to promote. And it's like people fall over when they ski. And
yeah,
anyway, I don't even like it. So why would I do it? So I won't take physical risks. I will ride a horse still, but only a calm, happy horse, not one that's going to like see a crisp bag and freak the f out. So
yeah.
I take risks, but my body doesn't recover quite as quickly anymore.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I don't take stupid physical risks, but intellectual ones, hell yeah, bring it on, challenge me, yeah, keep me going.
And it's yeah, I mean, that's a good way to kind of distinguish it, between the physical and the non-physical. I totally hear you with the sort of the physical risk. Uh we went on a road trip to Madrid via Toledo and stopped in
Yeah.
Toledo, and Toledo's just beautiful. And there was like a zip wire. And Saskia, she was up for,
Oh,
she was up for going on, and I was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. And I think back, maybe 20 years ago, I would have done that. But now I'm like, you know what? I don't think so. But you're right. But those creative, those kind of intellectual risks, that's kind of what keeps you going. Just do those different ideas. Kind of that kind of like almost like educational stuff. I think is super great.
yeah, and pushing yourself as an artist in different ways,
Yeah.
to put yourself in slightly uncomfortable situations, or, like for instance, I know this is really a small thing, but the we just did a tour with, so I've got this amazing all-girl band, right?
Yeah.
All-female
Yeah.
band featuring like Deb Googe and Jen Mackler from My Bloody Valentine. And it's
Yeah.
like a female supergroup. It's fantastic. That's my
Amazing.
touring band. And we had two girls also in it who were a drummer and the second guitarist called Vaz and Roz from Furious, who's like a punk duo.
Yeah.
And I was on tour with Public Image, and we were opening all their shows in England, Scotland. And halfway through the tour, the second guitarist, Roz, got COVID. And we're a five-piece, you know. So we had to make a decision because we had this tour to do. And if I had pulled out, we would have let down so many people and let down Public Image and let down, you know, and I would have like hemorrhaged money, by the way, on top of it. So we're like, do we carry on as a four-piece? And we'd never rehearsed as a four-piece. So literally in the back of the van on the way to Norwich, we gathered every stem that we could get of the guitar parts that you've played on the album.
Yeah.
And programmed it. Deb Googe did it in the back of the van on the DPSX thing. And in a matter of hours, and we went on stage as a four-piece where we were all like, we had been rehearsing for a year, and then it was like, boom, she was gone, and we had to cope. And
oh no,
it was a challenge, and it was fantastic because it was just fantastic. And so now Vaz and Roz are gone. Apparently, my schedule is too much for them. They need they have their own band, and they want to put what energy they have into their own band, which is fair enough. So I have just hired a new drummer called Lisa, and so now we're down to a four-piece. But I wouldn't have known that I could have done that because now I'm playing guitar more. So it pushed me to sing it. Every youth would say, "Brix, pick up the guitar more. You're only playing guitar in 3 songs. What's wrong with you?" You know, and I'm like, but I can't sing and play at the same time at that level, you know. But of course I can, and I do. So yeah.
So I mean, that's sort of interesting when you know somebody like you or whoever has sort of pushed you, you know, and sort of I'm really kind of interested in that and in how sometimes, you know, we think, oh no, I can't do that. I've always really wondered badly how musicians can sing and play at the same time. I'm like, oh my god, my brain can't do that.
No, here's the thing. In the fall, because I was mostly playing guitar the whole time and just doing backing vocals and writing the music, I could play anything, anytime, and sing a little bit because I was focused on the guitar. But to play guitar at that level and to sing the way I need to sing and to move and to hold an audience, having a guitar is restrictive physically, and I use my body. Like when I sing, the words and the stuff comes through my body, and it's so. I wish I was Jimi Hendrix, right? Jimi Hendrix is like everything to me. Jimi Hendrix is it. Okay, it's all of it all at once. Everything. I wish I was that. But with the new stuff that I've written with youth, he wrote the music. I put on a lead guitar here and there, and I concentrated on the vocals and everything. So I didn't know how to play those songs particularly, except the odd lead. You know, you do what I do is a lead and a hook. I'm happy. So when it came to singing, I had to retrain myself for some of these songs and work it all out. But it's fine. It wasn't that I couldn't do it. It was that I didn't really want to do it, to be honest, because I so enjoy being a front person and not having the pressure of doing both. But the challenge of it was good. And I realized that actually when I touch a guitar, magic can happen. So
absolutely.
And they were all, and youth is so good because he did not let me get away with anything. He does not let me get away with shit. So he pushed me all the way through the recording. You could get that better. That vocal, you could do better. You could do another harmony here. Too many words here. Pick up the guitar and play that lead. And he would and I go, I don't want to play the guitar. And he would be like, here. And he'd throw the guitar at me. It wouldn't even be it would be his guitar. And I'd plug it in. I'd I go, what notes? What notes? He wouldn't tell me. And I go, and it would just come out. I don't even know how. And he would just capture it. Done. No fuss in one take. And he was like, see. And it was like, oh God, this is so weird. I love it, But at first I didn't want to because I was being a baby. But it's great to have someone to push you that you respect as well. Like he's the real deal,
Yeah.
He's incredible. I just love working with him so much. I love him like inside and out as a man, a human being, a writer, a creator, a collaborator, a daddy, everything that he is, a chef, cook for me every night, I love my Youthy. I call him Youthy. That's my nickname. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty unique and special with that. Yeah, I mean that's an amazing, must be an amazing experience. And I think that what you said, the mutual respect that you have, you can take those challenges, when you have to have the right chemistry to rise to those challenges, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. To be allowed to be completely free, to wear no mask, because that's the thing. That's
really
the
true.
main thing, is you're so used to people judging you that you behave like, well, they see you in a certain way, and you're afraid to take it off and be honest. And with him, it's like, well, I mean, he famously made who was that band? That New Zealand band.
Crowded
Weather
House.
song. Yeah, Crowded House. He made them get naked in the studio because they were too repressed.
I didn't know that.
Made them, and run around, like sing naked, I think, and run around naked, and it freed them. So the thing about youth is like you cannot wear a mask. He didn't let me wear a mask. I think he did see me as this kind of punk sort of icon, whatever. And there's a lot more facets which we did get there. We really got there, certainly with the songs like Black Butterfly, that's where I'd like to go. That's probably my favorite track on the album, the last song. Anyway, you can't wear a mask in front of him, and he made me feel free enough to not be judged, to not have him look at me and go, oh, you're not really a player. Because people have imposter syndrome, or people think, I'm in a room with this person and I'm not good enough. We all have that. I think that's normal. But I got to a point where I didn't even have it anymore. He made me feel so good about being free and so comfortable that it became not a question. And then the true art could come out without a filter of ego, because all that is ego and fear.
Do you think that you've been able to use that freedom, to basically be maskless?
Yeah.
In different environments outside of that studio environment?
Yeah, I mean, there are times when you're in situations where you have to play a part,
Yeah.
You can't completely be as bonkers as I allow myself to be.
Yeah.
I'm properly eccentric. People will say that, whatever. I don't mind. I don't care. I'm just free. So there are certain times though when you're in business situations where you have to wear an intellectual business cap because I'm smart too. So I'm gonna let them have it. Whatever. But I try so often. I try now to not wear a mask. I'm not wearing a mask with you. I'm not being anything other than I am. I'm sitting in my fucking bed, wearing jeans with my dog and an old cup of coffee. And so
way to go.
This is real. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, I mean, is there some are there some touring plans coming up? Yeah.
Yes. So we are confirmed to play Bearded Theory Festival. We are confirmed to play Rebellion Festival.
Oh yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah. There's many more on the cards due to be confirmed. So when they are, I'll be putting it out there. Yeah. Then I think we are looking at doing a small headline tour of intimate medium clubs in mid-May. And then
Fantastic.
talking about an Irish tour in September. There's a lot to come. So yes,
Amazing.
and I don't want to. I just want to enjoy playing, and I don't want to go on the road and grind myself down to a pulp anymore. So
Yeah.
when I'm not going to play at the extent of which I would have done, just get on the road and not stop, because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love all the facets of my life. But when I do play, it will be special. So, and not too many dates. So come one, come all, come enjoy and leave the room with your hands high and a smile on your face and love in your heart.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, it's great to hear. I
Yeah,
mean, I'll be definitely around for the UK May ones for sure. Absolutely,
great.
definitely. That'd
Okay, as
be
soon
brilliant.
as I know, I'll let you know.
Perfect, Brix. Thank you so much. It's been an honour, and I could carry on talking, but I guess for the sake of a podcast, we'll better call it a day. But that's brilliant.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor to talk to you, Giles. We've been waiting a long
Brilliant.
time for this
I
conversation
know
just
we
now.
have, haven't we? Thanks for listening to the show, and I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you'll tune in for the next episode. In the meantime, it would be really awesome if you could rate and review the show and also share it with any friends who you think might enjoy it.